This is the Orioles POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Baltimore Orioles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good evening and welcome to the Locked On Orioles POSTCAST. My name is Luke Slaybaugh, here to talk to you about a 4-3 Baltimore Orioles win over the New York Yankees on this Monday night. Finally, we get a shutdown, lockdown, ace-like performance from anyone in the Orioles rotation, but this time it's right-hander Tomoyuki Sugano. That's what we're talking about tonight. We're going to start with our player of the game, Tomo Sugano.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Sugano has been probably the most consistent arm in the O's rotation through all the injuries and mishaps that have happened through this month of April. He got whiffs on 9 of his 11 splitters. Immense break on that pitch, and that was tied for the most of any MLB pitcher on the splitter this year. 17 swings and misses for Tomo, most by any Oriole pitcher in 2025, and the most since Corbin Burns last September. A lot of movement, some backdoor breaking balls that had the Yankees off balance, an unpredictable pitch mix. It was the best we've seen Tomo, and if this is what we're dealing with as the summer warms up, so too might the Orioles' arms. 8 strikeouts for Tomoyuki Sugano against the Bronx Bombers, and part of 15 total by the Orioles pitching staff tonight. That Monday night crowd at Camden Yards was demanding excellence, and finally, they got it. I'm going to talk about my favorite strikeouts tonight. We'll start with Sugano's top of the 5th, 2-2 count on Aaron Judge, chases a splitter down at the shins. Probably the perfect encapsulation of the night for Tomo. And in the bottom half, actually at the end of that inning, finally got a break with 2 outs and a runner on. Paul Goldschmidt hits a ball deep to center field, and at the wall, Cedric Mullins takes a leap at the wall, takes away what probably could have been a home run. It was headed that way. So the final line on Tomoyuki Sugano, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 0 runs, 8 strikeouts, and just 1 walk. His ERA is at a clean, even 3.00. Speaking of breaks, not only did it happen for the pitching, but the Orioles had a timely, clutch bomb as well.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Finally, good to see the auspices clear up and rise for Raone Laureano, given that it started off not great with runners in scoring position for the Orioles. Bottom of the first inning, they had the best scoring opportunity of the night, probably. Mullins singles and Gunnar Henderson hits a double. You have runners on second and third with no outs. The Yankees get out of that inning. Right-hander Will Wagner carves up the Orioles for 3 straight outs. But the bottom of the third, different story. Gunnar walks, and then Adley Rutschman with a surprisingly great at-bat. He's been seeing the ball pretty well this season, but for all the struggles and the batting average dipping down to 200, there are causes for concern, but never for Adley's approach at the plate. 2-2, change up low, fringe ball strike call, but lays off of it and then walks on the next pitch. So Ryan O'Hearn is up again with runners in scoring position. Well, 1 at second and 1 at first. Falls behind 1 and 2, fouls off a changeup away, and then a hanging sweeper that didn't sweep 83 miles an hour in, and he pulled that over the right field wall for a 4-0 Baltimore Orioles lead. O's go 1 of 7 with runners in scoring position, but you only need 1 to put this game away. Granted, the Yankees came clawing back, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, some causes for concern with left-hander Gregory Soto. However, you needed this. If you're going to crawl back in this division, if you are going to make your case, if you're going to heat up as the temperatures increase here in the DMV, it starts with 1. And it starts with this 6-game homestand. Got to beat those division rivals in games like these. So earning a win on the Bronx Bombers, I will take it every day. We'll talk about the bullpen. We'll talk about some of those other strikeout performances. Felix Bautista, again, with a clutch save, putting down Aaron Judge. All that, plus a surprise performer, not my player of the game. However, someone who has shown that he is a catalyst and is making himself indispensable as the Orioles continue to juggle a roster with injuries, a lot of housekeeping to do as well. I know that Connor did not do a nuke cast this morning, but the main Locked On show should be back tomorrow, I hope. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me here on the Locked On Orioles postcast. My name is Luke Slaybaugh, giving you the postgame show after every Orioles game that I can. We'll talk about all those things and more coming up right after this quick break. Quick first block, but that's what happens when I'm excited, man. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. NBA playoffs are here. If you guys are staying up like me, if your adrenaline is so high, Rockets and Warriors. We'll bounce on that right after this. FanDuel wants you in on the action. Place your first $5 bet. And if you win, you'll get $250 in bonus bets. This is for new customers. So from 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you to FanDuel for sponsoring this show. One other sponsor real quick, and we'll go to Gametime. Connor Newcomb was at the show tonight. The game in Camden Yards. Not the show. I'm thinking about Lincoln Park coming to town. My mind is here with you. Crack of the bat, roar of the crowd. I got to get out to the yard at some point. Gametime's going to make that happen. Last minute deals, all in pricing and lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On, and that's how Connor Newcomb got to the game tonight. Helped him grab some tickets. They've got a nice picks feature that you can find the best deals effortlessly, and it filters out all the fluff and highlights to find the top discounts in the stadium. If you're like me, you want to travel this summer, we're going to use Gametime. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's all one word, LOCKEDONMLB, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to thank you again, each and every one of you, for joining me here live on the YouTube stream as we're talking about the Baltimore Orioles, the series opener, 4-3 win over the New York Yankees. Leave a comment. Let me know where you're commenting from, if you were at the game, what you thought about it. Does this change your perspective on the season? This game is one silo. It is one episode of 162. But gaining a game on the Yankees in the division, never a bad thing. And the rest of the division had the day off. So you're gaining ground on everyone by extension. Probably the batter I was most pleased with tonight was Raone Laureano.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Kind of an afterthought on this roster, right? Like coming in, the narrative was that he was a platoon guy, and we are seeing that that is not the case. On this ever-growing injured list in Baltimore, you need an everyman, someone who is going to step up regardless of the matchup. And I think he's answered the call. Not only has he shown pop like he did in the Cincinnati series, he had a couple really hard hit balls tonight for doubles, including the bottom of the second. Got the Orioles on the board. Jackson Holiday singled. And then a fly ball to center field that was playable for Trent Grisham. However, he was crossed up, turned around the wrong way. It counts. It is not the Jorge Mateo throw the glove at the ball in Kansas City play. Like, that's a clean hit. And then in the fourth, doubles down the left field line, more of a legit piece of contact. But that was enough in the ensuing couple pitches to knock Will Warren out of the game. And while the Yankees bullpen did perform well, and that's a conversation for another day, I'm going to let Connor talk about that because I'm happy right now. He made the best of the situation and got another break for the Orioles tonight. Will Warren caught him leaning on the next pitch, and Laureano, leaning too far away, not able to get back in time, decided to take off and sprint for third. The throw beats him, and Laureano slides in, legs first. The momentum and the impact get to Oswald Peraza. He loses the ball, so it's technically a stolen base on a pickoff play where Laureano was left out, hung to dry. And then immediately Aaron Boone comes out to the mound and takes out Will Warren because this was going to snowball. Now, as an aside, I think the Orioles might do a better job of when their starting pitchers or relievers, like Gregory Soto tonight, start to get in a pickle and things don't go their way. You let Drew French go out there. You bring in the infield or the catcher. And it's MLB has cut down significantly on mound visits, what I'd like to call the Yadier Molina rule, just because you can't go out after every other batter. But that was expanding brain move by Aaron Boone, but also heck of a play by Raone Laureano. Booted after 3 1/3 innings, Will Warren heads to the bench. The Yankees had used 5 relievers yesterday in their doubleheader. Laureano was a dazzling underdog story 7 years ago with the Athletics. You saw the leaping catches, the faraway double plays from center field, the strength and the accuracy of the arm. Those still exist to a lesser degree. You also started to see him hit for power around 2020 and 2021. And then midway through that season, he gets suspended 80 games for performance enhancing drugs. That's less than ideal. And then the power and bat tool seemingly went away. Now, Laureano, rather than gunning for a starting spot for the Braves or for any other team he's been with since, was looking for a 4th, 5th outfielder spot once he regained trust. He's starting to get that here. Granted, the team has not yet positioned itself for a long-term run this season. They still have a lot of ground to gain. But to be able to come up in situations like this, I am pleased and I am more than satisfied. Best of luck to him as they need more consistency in the outfield. Colton Cowser now on the 60-day IL to make some roster moves, make some room rather, that we're going to talk about in just a second. I will touch on the bullpen very quickly. Keegan Aiken, nails. Last 2 outings for him, answered the call and then some. Did the opening thing in Detroit, didn't go well for Charlie Morton afterwards, but Keegan, those 1 2/3, boom. And then one of the best strikeout pitches of the day, that backdoor slider on Anthony Volpe in the top of the 6th. Aiken faces 4 batters, strikes out 3 of them. Also got Jason Dominguez to swing on a changeup. Killer. Soto made it interesting, 2 extra base hits there in the 8th and 2 runs, but got Dominguez on a slider inside. Check swing call went his way, and then got Oswaldo Cabrera to ground out. Mountain Bautista, love to see him going up against Judge. That 91-mile-an-hour splitter. Killed it. Crushed it. Some housekeeping. If you look at the O's roster now, it is a murderer's row of who? And gentlemen from Whoville. Jordan Westberg now on the 10-day IL with a left hamstring injury. Gary Sanchez also on the IL with right wrist inflammation. He was hit by a couple of pitches on Sunday. That's not great. And in their place, respectively, come Emmanuel Rivera and Maverick Handy. I read that right. Now, Rivera, we know. Last year as an Oriole, had 27 games. He was claimed off waivers from the Marlins. Hit .313, had 4 home runs. Former Kansas City Royal legend. Positioned himself pretty well to be in the mix for one of those utility roles that eventually went to Jorge Mateo and Ramon Urias. Was hitting .308 at Norfolk this year. Cool. Totally cool with it. Maverick Handy. This is where we're at. Hit .346 in limited playing time at AAA Norfolk, a home run and 5 RBIs. That's going to be a fun name to say. He'll wear number 98, has yet to make his major league debut. Could also see the debut this series of right-hander Cade Stroud, as Wolfram Alpha, left-hander Grant Wolfram, is now headed to AAA Norfolk. Stroud will come up. Not been a good start at Norfolk for Cade. He has an 8.10 ERA through 10 innings pitched. Let's talk about tomorrow. Carlos Rodon is on the mound for the Yankees, 3-3 with a 3.50 ERA. And guess who's taking the bump for Baltimore? Totally Kyle. Right-hander Kyle Gibson, 37-year-old, makes his return to the Charm City after playing for St. Louis last year. former Missouri Tiger, an alum of the prestigious institution there in the Midwest. 30 starts for Gibby in a Cardinals uniform last year, had a 4.24 ERA, and Orioles fans remember him fondly. A couple years ago, 15 wins in Birdland with a 4.73 ERA. Supposed to be a horse, and stability in that rotation, which one man will not make all the difference, but compound what Tomoyuki Sugano did tonight, the flashes that we have seen from Cade Povich, there's a lot of work to be done on the rotation front, but think of all the guys who are getting paid that are hurt right now. Rotation could look completely different, and frankly should look completely different come the All-Star break. We're going to wrap things up here on the Locked On Orioles postcast. We'll take a couple of comments here on the stream. Thank you again for joining me here on the Locked On Orioles postcast. We're live on YouTube after every game, and on the replay, of course, I will answer comments. I will go through and talk to all of y'all, but I really appreciate you tuning into this show. Connor Newcomb should be back either tomorrow or the day after with his thoughts on the series. He is at the games and living his best life. Beaston says we needed this win. Charles Hill commenting across the pond says it's 2:35 in the UK. Keep the faith. Julian Taylor comments, where would we be without both Ramones? That is true. Blitzkrieg Bop. Love it. Zach James comments, love the show, Luke. Thanks. OHearn really bailing out this offense, and Tomo looked absolutely lights out. I would agree. Echoing the same comments over here. All right, guys. Want to appreciate you all for tuning in here late on this Monday night. A great way to start the week, right? Get a haircut. Get to spend time with all y'all talking about the Baltimore Orioles beating the New York Yankees 4-3. Tomorrow, Carlos Rodon and Kyle Gibson making his return to Birdland, and we'll be right here right afterwards. So be safe, have a good night, celebrate this win, and you know where to find me. I'll meet you here, right here on the Locked On Orioles postcast. Thank you. Have a good night.